this meeting to order to the water commission. First, 5:45 p.m. Commissioner Lee Turbuck and Scott Horsley here. We're waiting on Mark Robinson any minute, but we will start with public comment. See if anybody has any. I don't know if we have any public in attendance or here, so I don't know that we are going to have any public comment. So, Chris, I guess we'll go right into the water quality report. Oh, let's hold off on the minutes until Mark gets here.
Okay,
I don't even know.
yeah,
He's
he's
not
not
voting, right?
He can't vote on
We can't vote on it, so we really need Mark here. So let's go to the water quality report.
All right,
Chris.
well, we'll start off with the easy one. There were no violations at all. All our total call came back negative for both April and May. We do have some results here for sodium. I don't know if you got one in your packet there.
Scott.
Sodium.
Sodium is here. Yeah.
Do it again and try. I believe. And right around the same.
Hanging about the same, huh?
Yeah, a little higher in places, a little lower on those. About all the time.
So the 20s are
Hello.
20 is recommended. Yeah.
We do have some public.
Secondary.
the things that of concern. 30s.
Well, they're already kind of a concern because they're overly recommended, but we just, it's not, you don't have to do anything right now, and I've talked in the past, but these are actually lower than a lot of other. When I bring this up to my board association, they're like, geez, I wish they had any spot. Yeah, because some people got to be like 70s and 80s.
Whoa,
Even higher, yeah.
It's a secondary drinking water standard of 20 milligrams per liter, but it really just means we have to advise people who are on a low salt diet, the way it works. And I'm working, just to give you some perspective, I'm working in Manchester by the Sea and North Shore, and they're running like 100, 150 milligrams per liter.
Yeah.
And they're serving the water.
It's not
So,
like ocean.
Yeah, so they can
no, it's not up there. It's, oh, where's it from? It's probably from road salt. From here is probably Route 28. Route 28 is just north of our well fields.
Right.
So it's probably, we've had conversations about trying to approach the state on salt.
We have approached the state, actually found it, that they're, found out that they have a low sodium when they go down through our area.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a low sodium.
Supposedly, question is, so they have to practice.
The two larger developments have, we advised them on it and asked them to use an alternative. And they say they don't use any, so.
There's
It's coming
something-
from somewhere, so we're not really sure. Just to get a little bit more on this, but, we're supposed to have our test well out by Station 5 tested. And I was talking to a gentleman who said, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Gary, I asked him to add sodium to that. And, you know, their treatment and chemicals over by Stratford Ponds and their treatment plant, that could be affecting sodium levels also. So he's gonna do some sodium testing in that test, in that, model.
Yep. Okay.
We go to PFAS.
Yeah.
The last one really you want to look at is 418 then. And there's 5 figures there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's actually only 1 and 4 that they tested. It's my miscommunication, Jen. Those actually, the zeros that are there, I cannot say they are zeros.
Okay, so some of these were not tested?
Correct. It's only 1 and 4 we're required to test in the state now
Okay,
because it passed.
okay.
Yeah, so I did get those, the ones that are showing right now is, let's see if I can get it, yeah. Oh, is the one that is showing up right now. So, and it's only, this is 2.42 to 2.14. Last year, that you can see they were higher, we had a 6.5 at one point, and 2.1. They go up, down, back and forth. And others, what they call I'm not even, it's PFAS. I'm not gonna try to say the word. I could try it, I probably will be left. Polyfluorine or retaining sulfonic, something like that, acid. So. And that's the other, that's not the PFAS 6, it's an unregulated, which I believe is the UCMR 5, which I haven't got those results either, they still haven't posted. So I'll let you know as soon as I get those. But we're actually in pretty good shape there too.
Chris, question on this, the proposed standard that's coming down from EPA is, I believe, is 4 parts.
Yes.
And is that, would that be the total of these two, or just the
No.
6?
I think I hold on.
And the other question, while you're looking is,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but what's important is the concentration of the water that we serve, which would be a blended one, not at the wellhead.
Correct. Correct.
So this 6 number, if you blend it with the zeros, we're going to be below the 4 probably. Is that correct?
Right. You are right.
Okay.
There's a formula that they put out. And I thought I had it in here. I was checking earlier, right out of my packet here.
It is interesting that number 1 is pretty consistently the one that is showing up, right? And that's the
What's in the
middle.
middle? It's in the middle of everything. It's right here.
And parallel flows this direction, right? The root telling me these are all substances. So a source of PFAS is, homeowner stuff. And it could be anything from like Scotch gun, it could be, right, exactly. Fire, it could be a fire retardant, been used in the past. I did reach out to the fire department at one point to try to get a list of history of where they put fires out. They claim that they were not using the PFAS contained fire retardant, not retardant, extinguisher, I guess. The thought, yeah. But something definitely gotta watch here. Keep showing up.
So it says PFAS 6.
Yep,
How many other PFASs are there? Many?
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
But I think that's the regulated one, correct, Chris?
Correct. The 6 other regulated one, even though the PA is added in that PFAS.
And I believe right now the standard is 20, and it's gonna go to 4. Is the proposal, is that right?
Yep.
And we're gonna have a 2-year grace period, I think, is that correct, from what you understand?
I believe you're right, in saying that the grace period is also, like they do a hazard index here. And it's taking everything, from let's see, you take all of them, put together, and divide and everything else, and we're still below the standard right now with the division that's been done.
Yep.
I did the addition last time,
Okay.
mathematics.
Okay, anything else on the warrant? You don't have no numbers.
What's that?
You have the no numbers, you said it was.
Yes, I got some accurate numbers here. It just came in, they're actually a little, around the same as last year, maybe a little lower in spots. Station 1 was a 1.7, station 4 was a 1.7, station 3 was a 1.5, station 2 was a 1.9, station 1 was a 2.4, and station 5 was a 2.6. The NCL's 10 on those. Yeah, and they're actually, I believe, right around the same, without looking, we just glanced at them earlier this morning.
Yeah.
And they're right around the same they were last year.
Okay. Yeah, and so the drinking water standard on these days is 10. So we're well below that, but it's a good indicator of wastewater. So the 2.4 and the 2.6 suggest a little more influence on 1 and 5. And it is interesting that number 1 lines up with high PFAS too, right?
Yeah,
And I think when 1 has been consistently higher.
correct. Yeah, that's been our highest, yeah.
So that's a little interesting, but as
So
well,
one is December,
the middle.
yeah, 5.
That's 3 down there.
Sorry, that's 3. 1, 2, 5, 3.
Yeah, you got the one over the left, station 5, right? It's really, there's one in the middle, two over there. I was, 1, 2, 4. Yep. And that's 3. Got it. They're numbered by when they were installed, not by the way they have, I mean, when I moved on the road, I'm like, why? First, you know, when I first started.
One is deep.
It is very deep, it's very shallow.
There's a shallow well, but it's down deep.
But it cuts in a hole.
Got it.
Built quite a well, and that was only designed by the superintendent at the time, and a couple people. Built out in hill, so that it has some paint on the walls, because it sweats through all the paint on the side and everything, yeah.
Anything else on your water quality?
No, that should do.
I guess my only thought, Jen, is we had a nice graph put together by the students on the nitrates every time. Also, we can add these new numbers to it just to kind of track that. Just kind of much like the sodium. That would be great. So why don't we go to the superintendent's report, Chris?
All right. I'm going to kind of give you a combined report here as I'm going, we haven't met in a couple months. So in April of 2022, we pumped 10,471,000 gallons of water. In April of 2023, we pumped 10,034,000 gallons of water, for 437,000 less than the year before, than last year. We had roughly 2.5 inches of rain in 22, 2.99 this year. So whether the rainfall had anything to do with it or not, I'm not positive. But we did have that. May of 2022, we pumped 17,035,000. And May of 2023, 20,497,000, for an increase of 3,939,000 gallons. Quite a big jump. We had 2.5 inches of rain, 2.21 inches last year, 2.58 this year, May. But we also took one of our tanks offline and had it cleaned. So we basically ran in May for almost a week straight off of just one tank of 300,000 gallons. So our pumps ran almost constantly just to keep up on demand. So it makes a big difference on having that, cushion in the air. We had to drain it, refill it and everything else, so it's good reasoning behind that. We'll see next month if that's gonna keep going.
Okay.
Under the association uses that we have, Boston County Utilities and New England Water Works through a combined water fair tech that both Jay and John attended. Basically, it used to be a water fair where they had some vendors there, and now it's just basically 6 hours of classes and everything. So they have got some good points there, some recertification credits and stuff there. Met with some people. As you know, if you don't know this, but I did send it to you. Mass Water Works Association sends out a monthly newsletter. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's a little more. I pick and choose sometimes which ones I'll carry out to you guys and everything else. It has the different grants that are available out there and stuff like this, so you can stay a little bit on top. They also send out obituaries and stuff like that, which I don't think you guys need to see. On that, I don't know if you noticed, did you know Ray Jack?
Yeah.
He passed.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Just
Moved to, where was he most recent?
he was in Falmouth. Yep, and he retired in 2019. He was still teaching over at college, doing classes and stuff. Yeah. And Bruce Young stopped by last week.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, from Mass Rural Water. Saying, if you need help with anything, give him a call.
Let's remember that.
Yeah, because actually, they have great door ladies and stuff like that. If you ever need help finding needs, they'll come down and do it with us.
Okay.
So
Good.
yeah. Okay. In April, we put one new water service in. And in May, we put 2 new water services in, so we actually added 3 to our accounts. One of them was down on Bailey Road. One was over on 28 Newtown Road. We're gonna kind of lose one there, we added. So, the Baker property will be torn down eventually. The house has been condemned. And they put water into the little house beside it. So they're gonna disconnect the other service and probably take it down, he said.
Okay.
The other one was down on Sears Ave, which is down Nickerson Road, down the very end. That's one down the line, we might want to look at extending the water main out, it's off a 2-inch line, the end of one. And it runs all the way down, and there's another 2-inch line up the side. Connect maybe a 6-inch line down the line there or something like that. It's gonna be one I have the engineers look at and see if they can take a peek for maybe next year or something like that. We got our EFDs installed, we've completed. I haven't been able to see the difference yet in the electric bill. We'll be waiting on that to see how that is. He finished that. I believe it was halfway through May, or into May, so we still have the May issue around that. We got our brand new truck delivered. I've seen it out there, JI's out there driving with it. Plow. My Chevy, we took the old truck and put it out to seal the bid, and we received $8,200 for it. They were only gonna give us like $1,500 to trade it in, and I said we'd work a little more than that, yeah. Because we were municipality bid stuff, so we get it cheap anyways. And they're not gonna come like, I think the one we got was, Liberty Chevrolet or something like that. And they don't come and look at the vehicles, they just say, send me a picture of what you got, we're not gonna give you any more than $2,000 for it. So that's how they work, 'cause they're not making a lot of money on the cars that they're selling. But yeah, that only took 8 months to get to us. So we got that, yeah. Flushing was completed on May 9th. Big clap for JR, he actually did a loan up there. And he really hustled this year, got it done quick. Did a really good job. No complaints really that I can even think of. Okay.
We did have one little period at the water was really black, not just brown, but black. We cleared it, and it's always that Putnam Avenue, Old Post Road area. But after that, there was nothing. Yeah. He wanted to get it done before the big volume of the summer, and he's been starting it earlier. It's been helpful.
Yeah, we were trying to get it done before we had drainage that John tank, because I don't know if you guys remember, we were getting dirty water complaints whenever we had high winds. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that tank was shaken up and dumped water. It was right around the place where it came out. The transmission came out on 28. Usually one person would call. So we did get it cleaned. They'll be back tomorrow to finish. They're doing a little extra work, putting a duct bill on the overflow so that no insects could get up inside or anything else. Right now, they just mesh on the screen mesh, which is okay with DEP. This is more of an extra added safety measure that we're going to do. So they finished. They did that for us right around, I think it was May 10th, because JR finished on the 9th. And then we tried probably like 3 times to do West Street over here, because we have a price to do that also. But they couldn't get in to do it before June here, and I just told them, that let's postpone it to the fall. They'll keep the price for me, and they'll come back in September and do it. So that we don't have to, run up with one tank also, where we, even now, we do the pumping. And you guys had the orange delivery for one of these cars that Jen has in here?
Tom got 2.
Well, my dad.
There's
That, we sent it out, I sent it out in the mail to you also, emailed her. So it's kind of like to try to let people know what's going to happen, because the Drought Advisory Board has already put us into a level 1 drought. So we will be putting out signs that say you're in a level one. This tells you what to do in a level one, and tells you what unessential water is and everything else. So we've asked people to hold them. I will tell you that I went to the mail today and that the garbage can looked very orange to me, but I don't know how many people have kept it, but you know, it's good to have.
Just let you know Mark is joining us now.
Oh. And lastly, I have, we're in the PFAS litigation. We've had some people declare bankruptcy in it, and a couple other people have been postponed. Every email I get says, for your eyes only, and confidential. The first one I got, I was like, oh, it's confidential, you know, how should I just get this to everybody and talk to them? The next day, it was one of the things that Mass Water sent back to us. And I'm like, how confidential is that? You know, that's just getting it and everything else, so someone shared it. But so we don't screw anything up and talk in public like this, I don't think we need to go into kind of executive session. I'll just keep sending you personally the emails. And if you want to talk to me directly, go ahead. You can't really talk to yourselves about to do anything on laws and everything else. Just to keep you going on it and knowing what's happening. Along with it, I'll keep you guys sent out. Other than that, that's my report.
All right, thanks, Chris.
No problem.
Commissioner Robinson, welcome for joining us. Hope your surgery went okay. And also want to, while we're all three here, I want to formally welcome David to the commission. We're happy to have you join us here. Thank you. And I think what we'll do is maybe go back now. We skipped over a couple items without you here, Mark. So maybe we go back and grab those now. I guess the first one is just review of prior minutes, which I think only you and I can vote on, Mark, to get that right. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the April minutes. Maybe not. I know you were busy today. We could postpone that if you haven't had a chance.
No, can you hear me, Scott? Can you hear me?
Yeah, just coming through very loud.
Okay. Yes, I saw the minutes. I'm happy to move them.
Okay, I just have one reminder, amendment, page 2, in the second paragraph, it says protected reactive borders, PRBs, and I think it should be permeable reactive barriers, just to get the term correct. We did. Okay. So with that, I would second the motion. All in favor, say aye. Mark?
Aye.
Okay, so that's April, and we do have May minutes too, but I don't think that was at this meeting. Was that?
So this was the credential committee meeting that both Tom and Mark
Yeah,
attended and officially called it to order as part of the credential committee meeting. So I just recapped our discussion and on the webpage directed people to the PruCom video for the official minutes. But because we called it to order, we have to do it.
so it was an official meeting, I guess, right? Those two, and I can't vote on it, David can't vote on it. So I can vote.
Tom is
I was
here.
here.
Good.
That's one of the reasons I came.
Okay, great.
So you can vote.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
2 cents.
So, Mark, we had a chance to look at that as well, May 22nd.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have you had a chance to look at the May 22nd minutes?
Yes, I did. They're fine.
Okay, good with that, so those are both approved. Next one. And then we also have,
And it can be an actual vote.
okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. And then we have, next one, I guess, is the new business. Elect board chairperson. Anybody have a recommendation on that?
I do. I'm sorry, I just woke up from my nap. I'm not very coherent right now, but have just enough mental acuity to recommend that Scott Horsley be elected as chair.
Okay, there's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you, gentlemen. Next one is elect bylaw committee representative. I can't remember who was bylaw last
So
year.
I did bylaws last year. It was really the high point of my career.
Would this be a good, one to get Mr. Sherbrooke's feet wet on anything? No pun intended. You don't want to do it again, do you?
I would rather do a different committee this year, and I think that Commissioner Sherbuck should be exposed to all facets of the district.
Well, I'll make that a motion that we elect Commissioner Sherbuck as the bylaw committee representative. For a second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. And then we have to have a policy advisory committee rep. And
I'll
I
do
would
that.
move that Commissioner Robinson serve in that role. For a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. Okay, get that done. The other question I have going beyond from this, and Tom, you might have to help on this too. The school thing's gonna get busy again.
Tomorrow night.
We had sort of a, I don't know, unofficial or official rep on that. And I think I served part of that. I can't remember whether that was something we voted on or whether.
So you were the representative last year and I was the 2 prior years, I think.
Yeah.
And then, despite having requested that you be put on the mailing list, you never were,
Oh,
I don't think.
I don't.
I'm on it, and I'm not on the mailing list.
But you're on it, and you're on the mailing list, so
Okay.
I'm not.
you're not
I'm
on
not
that.
saying that, a friend of doesn't have.
There is a meeting tomorrow night, and I forwarded that meeting announcement to you just a few minutes ago before I came. So that
And I cannot
you could
attend,
make it.
I have a conflict tomorrow night with somebody.
I'm-
I think that's fine.
I'm not.
Okay, good. So why don't we assume, I mean, I get my fingers in that too a little bit, we can talk, but maybe Commissioner Sherbuck could be the rep on that going forward. Does that sound reasonable? Do you need a motion on that? Is that it, or is that not required?
I don't think so, because it's a subcommittee.
Okay. Congratulations. Thank you.
That's tomorrow, 6 to 8.
Okay, let's go to the lead list, Jennifer.
All right, so you have a copy of the lead list, round 1 in your packet. We started with 37 total accounts totaling close to $21,000. We're down to 24, and I actually just took in another payment today, bringing us down to 23,000, but in the neighborhood of $16,000. And I did receive a call from somebody else who I believe is coming in. After this meeting, where you have put eyes on it, we're gonna send out round 2 with a little more friendly written letter. And they will have until July 14th to make payment on it. After that, you guys will vote on the final list at the July meeting, and it will be submitted to the town to be included in the October tax bills.
Okay,
So this is just more of an information.
so we don't need any action.
No action yet.
Okay, thank you for that update. Award FY 24 service installation contract. Who has the report on that?
It could be either one of us. This is a yearly contract that we go out with that does our emergency repairs. Any kind of service sideline installation and all. And we had 3 people actually bid on it this year.
Oh, good.
Usually we only have 2, so it was nice to get a 3rd person in there. And company number 2, the Board Water Construction, has the lowest bid, and I'd like to suggest that they get awarded.
Okay. Any questions on this? I'm comfortable going along with your recommendation, but any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on that? Before we-
This is.
Or what services, any new road replacement, Yep.
Commissioner Robinson.
And emergency bids.
Mark, do you have a question, comment?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. We vote on that?
Yes, you.
Okay, well, I'll move to accept the Bill contract. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sign that, send it over to you.
Okay. General policy review revision.
So at the last meeting, when we had a leak adjustment, we had discussed wanting to review the language in the leak adjustment
Oh,
policy.
that's right.
So obviously it doesn't have to be done at this meeting, but I just wanted to make sure that you had the language in front of you,
So you drafted something there?
the redraft. It's on the rates and regulations page at the very bottom, is the leakage rate section. So like halfway through your packet. I don't know if you want to redraft something to review the next meeting.
Did you, where was the change? Is it highlighted somehow?
I did not make any change to it. You
Oh.
had discussed wanting to make some changes in
Oh, I
regard
see.
to irrigation.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I think the intent was to put a little more responsibility on the homeowner if there's a leak in the irrigation system, that maybe they're on their own. I think that was kind of what I had suggested that we consider. What's the pleasure of the commissioners? Is this something that we want to pursue editing? And if so, I guess I'm on the spot to draft this as I suggested it, but I don't want to go ahead and do it unless there's support for it. Thoughts?
Hey, Scott? Scott,
Yes.
I see you guys perfectly. So that owl is working and it moves from speaker to speaker. It's great. There's still a lot of reverb. I can't get all the words. And frankly, I just had my dinner guests deliver some food. So I think you've got a quorum. The only thing I'd like to say is that I've asked Jen to do some more math with the affordable access to water draft. And I haven't had a chance to look at it this week, which she did, but I think that if we could talk about that next time and I'd ask Jen to make sure that you all have the work that she's done so that we can knowledgeably discuss it next week. I'm going to have to sign off. I'm just not up to it.
Okay.
All right. But the point was that there's the reverb. I don't know how we're ever going to deal with that in the hybrid. But
It's a tough room. I think the structure of the room is going to be the problem.
Mark, anything you want to add regarding the green areas in Mosswood before we let you go?
regarding what?
Green areas at Mosswood.
I couldn't hear. Oh, the green burial. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Just that I do know where they put the rock at the cemetery. It seems to be in the far southeast corner. It's probably not in zone 2. But I'm glad that Chris put note of that and has talked to him about it. It's a cool idea. I think, as long as it's not going to affect the water, we should be encouraging it. Okay, I'm going to leave, guys. Thanks very much for trying to. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Okay, so on this, Jen, could I suggest that, I don't know, would you be willing to take a crack at some little bit of lingo on the leakage thing and consider the next meeting?
Yes, as long as you communicate to me what your wishes
Yeah, I'll
are.
work
Do
on
you
that.
want them like no relief for irrigation leak? Is that where you're heading?
Let me think about it. I'll talk to you. But why don't we suggest Jen and I will come up with some language for the next meeting, okay? To remind me of that. Now that I'm the chair, I'll be in regular touch with you. We'll become buddies again.
Lights still on,
Mark?
Jen had brought up to me, that it's been a while since we have taken the handbook and had it brought up and to make sure that we have all the rules and regs and everything else. I've contacted Warren Rutherford, who did it for us last time. Yeah. And he's willing to take another peek at it, look at it, make sure we're up to date with all the current laws and everything that's out there. We also, I'm gonna get a copy of the new contract with the fire department. And look at, we found out there's a couple of things that they're getting that we're not over there. We're following the state law for, I guess it's family leave. And they're getting a little extra where they're allowed to use their sick time instead of, you know, where it says you can use accumulated time, but our bylaw says you cannot use sick time unless it's for sick time. So it's kind of a catch-22. It would like to write into something like that. Would still like to revisit the insurance that they have. They get a certain amount of money to not take the insurance through the district.
Right.
So we'd like to write that into our handbook if we can. So what we'll do is Jen has made some, you should run a PDF, is that what you marked up?
Yes, I have a hard copy.
She has a hard copy, so what we'd like to do is we'll put the stuff together and send it out to you guys. Before next so you can review all the changes that we made and get your ideas on it and everything. Just review it before the meeting so we can talk about it together and everything else. So, we'll get it to you once we get all this stuff. It might not be right away, but we'd like to try to get it as quick as we can.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, sounds fun. Okay. So let's see, does that complete our new business? Is there anything else there?
It was just the green barrels that we had there. I will tell you that I did meet with the superintendent up there. And he brought me over to the, this is over a year ago, this person just. Fran called me on, he said, you know that they're gonna be doing this. So I went down and asked him where it was, and I can kind of show you. It's. So this here is. So yeah, so this is where they are, and they're down in here. Yep. You know, as soon as you go in behind, it's right down over here. So they're out of that zone too. So it's not gonna really affect us, and even that, you know, they have to come. Quite a ways, yeah. So.
What is it, I haven't read too much about it, what exactly is it? They don't put the concrete retainer in there?
They're putting in a stack and everything. You get wrapped up and buried, that's all, yeah, there's no problem.
We need some worker balance.
Wow.
Yeah,
Go back to the old,
Right.
right.
I don't think it actually be better.
what else? Okay, well, that sounds, outside the one too, I think we can. We need a vote or anything?
No, I just wanted to bring to your attention, I believe. And keep an eye on, you know, if they expand it. Hopefully they'll stick in the same area, we don't want to just send them a letter, you know, where you're talking about it. It's fine, and if you expand it, please let us know.
Okay. Will you get back to them then, that we discussed it and we're fine with it, or, okay,
Yeah, so in marketing, I think it brought it up, and we could, I'll just.
all right. Okay, so let's go back to old business. I'll start on the source water protection. I think we're kind of where we ended up here, and Tom, please jump in here as a public comment, because is that, you know, it was determined that we probably don't have the legal authority to go ahead with the septic system upgrades under the existing enabling law. I think that's kind of where we ended up. I did speak with, and it may be good for your background, Dave, I had a group of Tufts students here at Source Water Plan. We should get you a copy, I'm not sure you have that. Jen, if we could get that to Dave, that'd be great. And one of the recommendations was to upgrade some septic systems in that neighborhood. It's called Mariners. Yeah. Because that's, you know, they're pretty likely directly at flow. And we also have a model from Tom King Rare, actually is even more specific, it shows flow pathways, if you will. So in other words, we can really almost identify which homes are most probable to be contributing. So the thought was we could target those septic systems and try to get some upgrades to some of these new wood chip bioreactor technologies, which look like they remove not only nitrogen, but probably some of the organics as well. So that was our idea, but then at one of our meetings, Fran showed up and raised the question whether we had the authority to do it. And I think Tom went to a meeting with Boudreau, the attorney, and he kind of rendered an unofficial opinion. Maybe you want to just give us what your recollection on for David's benefit?
Yeah, he just basically said that based on our enabling legislation, we didn't have the authority to spend money from the district on private property unless we did it for everybody's private property.
So the thought was that we could amend the legislation. I read the legislation and it's old. And I've been a big proponent of we ought to be able to protect drinking water quality as one of our jobs. And no doubt that private land is a contributor. So if we can't do anything on private land, our hands are tied a little bit. So my thought was that maybe we want to look into, if necessary, amending the legislation. And Boudreau said that was certainly a possibility.
Yeah, he said it's a great idea.
Sure.
You know, it's just crazy that we can't.
The enabling legislation does give us like eminent domain rights, gives us the right to go on the private property.
Yeah.
And it also talks about the installation, I forget the technical term, but of some sort of water protection.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but when I read it, it does talk about our rights to do things like purify the water, and I think that might be treatment at the well bed. I mean, it wasn't clear, but I kind of agree with you, it seemed like it was kind of there.
Yeah,
But maybe not enough.
So we have the ability to treat the water as it's going in, but we don't have
Prevent the pollution.
anything on the backside.
And the last time the law was written was in the 1950s, and this whole source water protection program really came about in the 1990s for EPA. The idea is let's go to the pollution sources and manage those. It's a national program, so there's plenty of basis for doing this, but our law was written well before people were thinking about doing this. So I think what I'd like to suggest is we probably have a motion and a vote to approach Boudreau to prepare a legislative change. He didn't think it was a big deal, probably a paragraph or something. And then we approach our local rep with get who that is here.
Probably Kim, who's now into a resident.
Right. The other thing Dave just told me that today DEP voted to back with the septic system.
Title V, yeah.
Title V.
I've only voted, I can tell you all about it.
Now,
They didn't vote well, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
what I'm wondering is, are they doing the same thing we're trying to do?
No, there's actually two regs that they're voting on. One is Title V upgrades, the other one is watershed permits. The Title V upgrade says that if you're in a watershed that has a TMDL, which we do here,
Yeah. then
first thing it says is all the septic systems have to be updated within 5 years. Actually, they changed it. I got a call from the chair. They're gonna add, it's actually gonna be 2 years grace period and then 5 years. So it goes 7 years.
Okay.
We would have to upgrade the systems. But then the second part of the regulation is that doesn't apply if the town files a watershed plan or permit, which Barnstable has already done. So my read on it is Barnstable is exempt from this requirement that might take place in 7 years.
Yep.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, but that's been my reading of where we're at in Barnstable, because we're ahead of the game. We've already got the plan, the comprehensive wastewater plan in place. It's already been approved by DEP. I think they might have to amend that because it's not really called a watershed plan. But the guy who called me today said that they're gonna deal with this with towns that already have CWMP, so it'll be easy to translate them into watershed plans, which would then make the town exempt from this requirement. The idea is the town's doing other things to address the nitrogen, rather than everybody individually up their septics. So I think, so my sense, my read is the proposal here is still valid. And I should mention, I did speak with the DPW a couple of years ago about this, when the students did the plan. And they're the ones in charge of the wastewater plant for the town. And they agreed, they thought this was a good idea. In fact, I think they told me at the time that this would be much less expensive than running a sewer line down to that neighborhood.
Right. And I looked at the DEP's
Yep.
amendments based on the comments, and one of them was is that they're going to give the towns latitude to sort of do a prioritization of projects as
Yes.
opposed to just a blanket.
Yep.
And so this would seem to qualify.
Yeah.
Under that.
I think so. Yeah. So, again, I think that's still my suggestion. I guess
So,
you're gonna support me or vote on
so
it.
I'll make a motion that we approach Fire District Council, Mark Drow, to help draft an amendment or enabling legislation to permit us to establish a stabilization fund to fund alternative, what was the proper term?
My suggestion would be the language can be broader, just say enable us to implement source water protection measures on private property. That would probably do it.
Yeah, exactly, that would be specific.
Okay, so you admit, okay. Well, I think David, what he started with was great.
Yeah,
To amend the enabling legislation to then enable us to implement source water protection practices on private property. I think that would do it. That would also make it a little broader than just septics. So, and then he's probably gonna undoubtedly have some tweaks to it too, but, so I guess we can all in favor of that? Aye.
You get a second.
Okay, so we'll approach, Boudreaux on that and see where that goes. And I'm happy to work with them on it. They've already had a conversation about it.
Just to further on that, I did talk with Tom Kimber.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting on that permit.
And that's
Town
for the
hospital, from the town hospital to put in the test well for the river.
by the river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's hospital in trust in there, so we had to go through, put in, sign, contract with them. That say you'd be responsible and stuff like that. And it's still their legal department over there.
What about the well that's gonna be drilled?
We got two, we got one in, one in, Mary Circle, we have one in, St. Two, town.
Chris, I guess my thought would be, and I can speak to Tom direct on this too, that we might want to go ahead with some water level measurements and mapping, even without those wells along the river.
Okay.
Because, and Tom and I can talk about this, but I don't think wells in the river are gonna have a major effect on the flow path to the wells. I think it's good we're doing the wells in the river for the purpose of determining if it's discharged to the river, but I think for our purpose of identifying. It's not a lot of work. So
You and him talk the same language.
Yeah.
You wanna talk to him, but it's fine.
It's a lot of time going by here, and get the wells in. I also think, I don't remember which part of the scope, again, maybe. Area we use actually clearly. That is, well, the one place we want to add one is actually. Let me find it right there, yep, you had, it's in the middle here. Yeah, we put one there, and we put one down in the corner behind the development, more into our land. The other thought of that is there is a, what do I call it, a disposal area behind the, what is it?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so that land's been split, it's, it was all owned by a Eugene Printing Company, and
Yeah.
they split the part that's always been a landscape establishment, a landscape business, and sold that to King Landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and,
King something or other.
yeah, somebody was running a wood lot out of it,
Yes.
a while, and when they sold it, they cleared all the wood out of it, now they have bins in there, and they keep stone and gravel and bark mulch, stuff like that, yeah, so.
I was up there one day looking at that corner and stuck my head up and looked in there, and it's a pretty big open pit, it looked like kind of a bunch of stump dumps and whatnot in there. And chances are everything's okay, but those are the types of places that sometimes stuff gets put in there, you know. Some people look at it and go, it looks like a dump.
Yeah.
Throw my paint cans in there or whatever, and so I thought, in addition to a water level measure, we might want to sample that for water quality. Do you know, Chris, if that's part of Tom's scope? I can't remember, the water quality sampling there?
I don't believe we had water quality there, I just had the test well that was put in, we had,
I would suggest that we add, get a sample there for nitrates and maybe even a VOC run. Just because it looks like a pretty good place, since we spent the money on the well, I don't know what a VOC run would take, but cost maybe $200.
we probably might have to rent it. I think.
What's that?
We might have to rent a pump, or something, depends how deep it is.
Yeah, it's fun to do this, but let's add.
We want water quality.
We have a budget for water sampling, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, is that in source water protection? I think so.
And Mark Boudreau knows that, you know, we were gonna pursue it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
Probably expecting a call, so.
Yep, yeah. So, I guess I'll reach out to him on that, is that what you said? Okay. Great to be chairman, huh?
Yeah, it's fine. I can share that original stabilization.
Yeah, I
fund
have that,
package
yeah.
with-
And then the affordable access to drinking water thing that Mark pitched, and there is something in the package on that, right? So, something?
This was his redraft, changing the first 20,000 gallons from 3 to half of what it is today. I did send him an email on Monday, or Tuesday, he asked me to rerun some numbers to see what it would take to recoup 90,000 rather than 180,000. It's really not much of a change in those top 3 tiers. So,
Yeah,
and that's assuming all else is equal. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen to pumpage numbers in 23 or 24.
yeah, again,
So all those are.
for your benefit, David, one of the things we've been talking about is we changed the water rates. We changed it twice, didn't we? Once before I got here and once when I was here. And the idea was to try to disincentivize high irrigation users. And I don't think we've seen evidence of pumping going down. And I did speak with a consulting firm that does this work nationally, setting water rates, and asked them, is there a formula where you can know where to set the number of discouragement? And he kind of said, nope, it depends on the locality, you just keep raising it until you see. So it's elasticity, and so it's an interesting situation. Something as we keep looking at these pumping numbers, it's complicated because this is relative to rainfall too. So there's multi-factors as to how much water to pump.
Right.
But would you say, Chris, I mean, you're probably as knowledgeable, but did you hear anything about people backing up? We have this in private wells.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of private wells with
Irrigation.
yes, irrigation wells, even like people I didn't know, but I've been called up to investigate people, you know, and I've had neighbors call and tell me that, the guy had put them in illegally overnight, basically.
Okay.
And I don't know when they showed me as well, I don't know, this is when I built the house, this is the well was put in. People that are the new construction, they know that they can't put it in. So the only place that I haven't seen anybody put in any kind of wells over at Two Meadows. I haven't heard of anybody doing it, they're all so small, lots over there, I don't know. Right, exactly, so they might not have to room over
Do we, or could we have some sort of inventory of these private, that they're
there.
getting?
We try, believe me.
Yeah.
Because I've tried a couple of, the town of Barnstable, they're supposed to bring out a permit for anybody that's putting in a well. But what I found out was these wells don't qualify for a permit because they don't pump out enough water. You put in a well, if it's over 5 gallons a minute or so much, you know, pressure or something like that. they said they don't know, they don't know, they have to get a permit. So I said, well, I'll try to plumbing inspector. Because they gotta have something on there, maybe if they're gonna be plumbing, and the plumbing inspector says, no, they don't have to come to me, and if they do, I can't turn it down, you know, and I said, I'm not asking them to turn it down, I just would like to know if somebody got, a pressure vacuum breaker or something like that for a sprinkler system, or because they shouldn't be tube water, if there's different things, they should be for themselves a dedicated system, they don't need, I guess, a pressure vacuum breaker. But I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've asked the different companies when they put them in to give us a call.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, and it works out nice, except that not everybody calls. I see Desmond all over the place. I see Skinner, they're giving away signs too now.
Right.
I see that on Main Street too, and over on, Ball Point over here, they put in a couple wells and they put outside irrigation by Skinner. It's all irrigation was installed by Skinner.
I think it would be good, even if it's informal, even if it's not complete, some sort of a.
We're trying, yes. And we're making notes on records.
Right, I can add a note in somebody's record, but it's not a field I can run a report off
That's
of, so
okay.
you can't ever ask me, how many do we have, because I'll never know.
Well, that is the
But if
question I
somebody-
want to ask.
I know,
Something like,
I know.
even an estimate, 10, 20, 15.
Well, I can tell you, I've given out 5 new signs this spring alone. I can tell you the church is putting in a private irrigation.
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
So, and we will get calls from my house for the test wells that I always put a note in somebody's record, and it's, like I said, it's not a field I can run a report on.
I would say we're above 20 now.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
So we are getting some response.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Okay.
That last bill that went out, in January, shook a lot of people, and this is the season of that. usage.
Right, and we will be reading again next month, first, next week even, actually. So that's gonna tell us about some of the newer ones that are. This is when people say, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because their sprinkler system's coming on from us.
Okay, great.
You always
I think that gets us
Add stick pins to Commissioner Robinson's map.
True.
I guess the only other thing I wanted, it's not on the agenda here, but, David, when I joined this illustrious group here, Chris took me on a very good tour of the system, which was really helpful. Do you think that would be of interest?
Well, I'd love to meet you, yeah.
Would you do that, Chris? Maybe let Mark and I know, maybe one of us could join you, but, I think it would be good to get David out there
Yeah,
and see the hardware. And,
oh, yeah, so what we use, the different stuff, how the line system works.
I'd love to.
Yep, and then, I guess, any other, matters not anticipated by the chair or anything?
The town council and the capital improvement budget approved $90,000 to look into the Little River culvert situation. We have any
Up at,
news on that?
pond?
It's either at the pond or it's at.
Probably, yeah, button that, little river culverts, and that right around, where
Oh,
the two ponds behind, the housing.
I think it's there, or it's either where the Little River goes under 28, right by the water department.
Maybe it's that, it could be.
But I'm just curious.
Well, I bet you I know what it is. I bet you it's all about how it keeps getting buried. From this pond. Yeah, the pond. Because I know, to tell you the truth, my brothers were the ones that have been, digging it out the last couple of times, opening it back up. And they go out there, yeah, they said that it's getting clogged all the time. They pull like a rug out of it.
Wow.
Last time.
Was his kids up there doing, like, messing around?
I don't know.
But the language in the study said it was stolen as area, so it seems that it's gonna be a pretty considerable project.
I remember, actually, I think everybody knows, I live right down at the mouth of the river road. I've seen the natural resource people coming up the river, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Amy. And I think they said they were evaluating, structures to see if they could get a fish back up there. I don't know where that's gone, but that was years ago. So I think there's still maybe some part of it.
Oh, that's just.
Okay. Okay, good. Any other matters? David, anything else from your end? Welcome the board.
Thank you. It's an honor, big shoes to fill.
And any other public comment from our vast public attendance tonight?
I just wanted to stop by, see if there was anything that I could help with loose ends, and to welcome David and thank him for running, stepping up onto the team. And thank you guys as well, Scott, Mark, Chris, Jen, whole water department, wonderful 6 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, well, I thank you very much. You were, very helpful, very, you backed us quite a bit, Dan, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you did a great job, on especially the
I'll
salary.
try,
stuff.
yeah. Do what you can. Nice.
So, thing though, don't leave, give me a couple of your business cards. I got something from you sent in an email. You're doing a little side, is it you or?
Yeah, I'm pretty busy. I'll drop off because I don't have them with me.
Okay, I got an email from you, I didn't realize that, but
I told Jen I was gonna swing some by and I haven't done that. I just.
We'll be doing it.
All right, and motion to adjourn. Oh, next meeting day, right. Let's see, one is the second Wednesday? Third. I sometimes I have night meetings. So this the 19th would be the third Wednesday, July.
Good for me.
The 19th. Yeah, I have a meeting at 7, but we should still be able to get it in there. So let's do 5:45. I think it's still good for Mark. Is that okay time with you, David? That works. Okay, so we'll do the, what do we say, the 19th? Great. And now may I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I second. All in favor? Aye. Beautiful. And I will sign.